Hey Mena Warriors, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and I share a weekly video all about menopause every Monday. Today I'm talking about menopause and the relationship with diabetes. I will also go over pre-diabetes, diabetes 1 and 2, but essentially we're talking about diabetes 2 to get today. Pre-diabetes, 1 in 3 of us in the UK and the US are actually have it. It can go largely undiagnosed. You can have it for 5 to 10 years. It's pretty much self-explanatory. It's the phase of life that we have before we actually develop diabetes 2. If you have been given a diagnosis of pre-diabetes, which is actually quite hard to diagnose in actual fact, you need to be thinking, holy moly, I need to make some major changes. The problem is most people do not. They think, oh, I've got a little bit of time before diabetes really kicks in, so maybe I'll modify a few things soon. And then people don't. And then, of course, diabetes 2 kicks in. Diabetes is a really serious disease, and I will go over that in more detail soon. Now, diabetes and menopause have quite a lot of similarities, which I think is why it's really important to cover this topic, because there are very many things that we think, oh, it might be menopause, but is it something else? Am I assuming it's menopause and it's masking other symptoms? We all like to hide our head in the sand to a certain degree. And by thinking it's probably menopause and not diabetes, it's probably the lesser of the two evils. Essentially, when we eat food, sugar gets released into our bloodstream. Diabetes is when our pancreas is not reacting sufficiently enough in order to get the insulin into our blood to deal with that excess sugar. When we're eating too much sugar consistently, we're just making our bodies break down. We become less sensitive to the insulin in our bodies, and essentially we go wonky. We mess ourselves up big time. And if you don't address it, pre-diabetes can lead to diabetes, and then you're looking at problems with your liver, problems with your kidney, you might lose your sight, neuropathy, tingling in your extremities. It can lead to increased risks of cardiovascular disease, strokes. If you've been given that pre-diabetic diagnosis, act on it. Type 1 diabetes is essentially when the body doesn't have insulin. It's often referred to as juvenile diabetes because that's often when it's picked up, but it's a different type of diabetes to diabetes 2. People need to be given insulin for the rest of their life in order to survive. Other things that can cause diabetes 1 are pancreatitis or recurrent bouts of pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, excessive alcohol use, genetic conditions, injury to the pancreas, surgery. So diabetes 1 really is a sort of in its own category, which is why we're not really going to discuss that today, because lifestyle changes will support you wherever you're at, whether it's diabetes 1, 2, menopause, no diabetes at all. But diabetes 1 really is its own category. And while we can reverse diabetes 2 by taking making a few changes in our lifestyle, diabetes 1, you will support yourself better if you make changes to your lifestyle, but you're also always going to need that insulin to help you keep living a normal functioning life. The common symptoms of diabetes 2 are things like frequent urination, dehydration, dry mouth, neuropathy, so you might have tingling or numbness in your feet. It can affect the blood vessels, particularly the back of the eye, which can lead to blurred vision, eventually blindness if you don't get it treated. You may be more prone to vaginal yeast infections. You might have dry, itchy skin. You might find that your wounds are healing more slowly. Some people might completely bypass all these symptoms and go straight into an seriously increased risk of cardiovascular disease, so heart attack or stroke. Pre-diabetes, incidentally, you can spot that by maybe excessive weight around your abdomen. I know we talk a lot about belly fat in menopause. Well, that can also be a sign of insulin resistance, and I'll explain that relationship in a little while. You might find that you've got darkened folds of skin around your neck, your armpits, your groin. That can also be a sign of pre-diabetes. You might be getting blurred vision and you've not been diagnosed as diabetic yet. You could also get mild tingling in your extremities. While brain fog is very much a symptom of menopause, it is also a symptom of pre-diabetes. So while we're talking about insulin, what is it? It's a hormone, and it is released by the pancreas, and it helps us with digestion of food. Essentially, it tells the body what to do with the sugar that we eat in our foods. Insulin tells the body whether to store it as sugar for immediate use for energy, or do we then store it as fat for later use? That is not what we want to be doing. And it's that storage of fat that can then lead to that increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Women who have diabetes 2 also tend to have worsened menopause symptoms. So how do hormones affect how a woman's body responds to insulin? Well, stress is related to cortisol. As estrogen levels fall, cortisol levels rise. With stress, as cortisol levels rise, that affects your insulin resistance, and that actually leads to an increase in your blood sugars. Sleep's also really, really important. Sleep's largely related to the hormone melatonin. If you have a bad night's sleep, it can affect your blood sugars for the next 3 days afterwards. So sleep, in trying to combat cravings, but also manage your menopause symptoms more effectively, and also help your insulin work effectively, is absolutely key. Sleep really is the foundation of good health, no matter where you are in your journey of dealing with whatever issue you might be dealing with. Human growth hormone is another important aspect of this. When we exercise, we release more human growth hormone. We want human growth hormone because not only is it's known as the sort of fountain, the elixir of youth, it does help you keep feeling energized and happier and healthier for longer. It also helps to lower your blood sugar levels. So exercise is going to have a positive impact on reducing the impact of sugars in your blood. Estrogen levels, as they decrease, that does affect your insulin sensitivity. So essentially your blood sugars will naturally raise as you're going through the menopause in any case. It means that you're more sensitive to carbs, even healthy carbs. Suddenly you might find that you're getting mid-body weight gain. You really do need to be focusing on lean protein, healthy fats, and vegetables, particularly as you go through the day. In the beginning of the day, yeah, you can eat your whole grain toast. You can even potato is not so bad at the beginning of the day. I love potatoes, and I still do eat potatoes, but I eat them in moderation. And the vast majority of my evening meals consist of 75% veggies and 25% of lean, healthy protein, which of course would also include healthy fats. So what can you do if you have got endocrine hormonal challenges and you're facing pre-diabetes or in fact diabetes 2? More vegetables, lean, healthy protein. If you are pre-diabetic or diabetes 2, cut out sugars. We do not need them. Now, people talk about understanding food labels. How about eating foods that don't even have labels on them? That's kind of a crazy idea, isn't it? And isn't it crazy that that is a crazy idea? How about eating whole foods? You might say, I can't afford fresh fruit. I can't afford fresh vegetables. So buy the frozen varieties. They are a fraction of the cost. They're dead easy to grab and go. Fill up your freezer with fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. Eat fewer carbs. We don't need them. I'm not anti-carbs. I don't follow a ketogenic diet by any stretch of the imagination. We need carbs for energy. But as the day progresses, we do not need as many carbs because we don't need the energy. We're going to be going to bed. So like I said earlier, your last meal of the day really doesn't need to have any carbs on it at all. First meal and lunchtime, that's a slightly different situation. The carbs that you're eating, make sure they are not the cakes. They're not the biscuits. They're not the sweet things. If you take sugar in your tea and your coffee, stop taking sugar in your tea and your coffee. People say to me, and it drives me nuts, they say, I didn't have a cake with my coffee, with my sweetened coffee or my hot chocolate with the cream and the stuff on top. I just had a chocolate croissant. You may as well just eat the cake. They're all as bad as each other. When you are facing these issues, it is not good enough to say, oh, but it's my treat. What is your treat? What, death? Blindness? Losing your extremities because the blood supply has ended? You can no longer feel your toes or your fingers. It can even lead to erectile dysfunction in men. So if your partner is holding you back, providing he's a man, from getting healthier and fitter, just tell him. He might have a few issues himself if he continues to follow the same route that you might be following already. And this isn't about pointing fingers, but this really is to try and underline the importance of the stuff that you need to do in order to stop being pre-diabetic, or indeed, even if you're in the thick of diabetes 2, you can do so much. Start regular walking, a minimum of 30 minutes a day. Make that brisk walking. If you're severely overweight, just take it steady. You need to start somewhere, though. I think half the problem is we find it very overwhelming. It's just, oh my God, I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to what can I drink? What can't I drink? I want all these sweet things and I'm not allowed to have them. So I'll have these treats, which are like maybe they've got artificial sugars. Steer clear of them as well. They're really bad. Water. Be disciplined. You are not a robot that is being force-fed stuff. You are deciding, you are choosing all of those things that you're eating. The way I would look at it, talking very bluntly, is what's it, blindness or the cake? Lose your toes or the cake? Death or the cake? Which would you prefer? Because ultimately, that is what you're coming down to that decision. That's where you have to draw the line in the sand. The scary thing is that much of our children are now becoming diabetic. They're not even pre-diabetic. They've got diabetes too. That is absolutely shocking. That is child abuse. Full stop. Most of us can read and write. Most of us can hear. There is nothing stopping any of us taking a really firm stance on this. And it's super simple to do. It doesn't have to be complicated. It is move more. We need to move more. Ideally, strength train. It gives you that HGH, which helps to bring down the blood sugar levels. It builds muscle. Well, muscle burns fat more effectively. It fills your body with feel-good hormones. It helps gobble up stress hormones, which also stress makes your blood sugars rise. Strength training will strengthen your bones, which in menopause is a major problem because we are at much higher risk of brittle bone disease. But diabetes too, in and of itself, is also inflammatory. Inflammation is really negative on your life in general, but also your menopause symptoms. They will be worse. You have so much power. Eat more vegetables, move your body, eat lean protein, eat healthy fats. Don't go fat-free. Fats are good for us. They keep us satiated. We need fats. All of our nerve endings, our nerve cells, they're surrounded by fat. Our brain comprises of a lot of fat. We need fat. Our hormones come from fat. Fat is good so long as we haven't got loads and loads of fat. It's not about going low fat diet. It's about just eating sufficient vegetables, lean protein. Vegetables also contain small amounts of fat. Protein contains fat. So it's not like you're thinking, oh, well, I've had my veggies, I've had my meat, now I better eat some fat. You don't need it like that. Our food contains fat. Just eat real food. Ideally, ditch the labels. If you are eating packaged foods, make sure that you are getting grams of fiber in your packaged food. So for instance, just to help you read labels, to help you get on top of them a bit more easily, particularly if you're looking at, say, like slices of pizza or snacks, that sort of thing, what you want to do is per serving size, you want to be looking at around about 150 calories per serving size. I tend not to count calories, but then I don't have a problem with my weight and I do eat whole food. I very, very rarely buy packaged goods. Then you want, for every 10 grams of carbs, you want to make sure you've got at least 1 gram of fiber. That's total carbs. So a lot of things will say they might have 28 grams of carbs and just 1 gram of fiber. That is not enough. That is just rubbish. You'll also see on the sides of packets, it might say tapioca starch, rice flour, brown rice flour, cornstarch. Those are just carbs. So that sort of thing is absolutely doing you no good at all. The nutritional system that I'm following right now, we have all sorts of like healthy alternatives. So we make like a protein, it's called like cloud bread, and it's essentially made from egg whites, but you use it like bread. You can use lettuce as wraps around your sandwiches instead of bread, or at least maybe have half a bagel or half a roll or half a slice of bread with your filling on top, and then bang a piece of lettuce on top of that. And that makes a really, really crunchy, nice lunch or breakfast or snack, depending on when you're having it. One of my perfect breakfasts is I have a slice of home it's home-baked bread, so there's no preservatives in it at all. And I toast that, and I have either 1 or 2 eggs on top of that with either some green beans or soya beans or something like that. So I've got my veggie portion in there. I always have a superfood adaptogenic herb shake in the afternoon that has protein in it. It's got all these adaptogen herbs that help you regulate your blood sugars, but it also helps get rid of belly fat, control cravings, helps you with your mental health, your gut health, etc. I always stick either some frozen butternut squash or frozen cauliflower into that as well. And I might also add some frozen berries just to give it a bit more of a fruity flavor. You can't taste the cauliflower or the butternut squash. It gives it a really creamy consistency, but it's another way of getting extra vegetables into your day. I really have to think about getting enough veggies and protein into my daily regimen. And that's somebody who pretty much talks about this all the time. So I know how difficult it is. But by burying your head in the sand and saying, I don't know how to understand labels, I've just told you a really simple way of doing it. Just become more mindful. As you start to learn, you will then be able to incorporate more stuff. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water as well, because most of us don't drink enough water. But just start by doing smaller things. Eat more vegetables, reduce your carbs. You don't need the cake. You do not need the biscuits. If you're feeling like something sweet, have maybe some Greek yogurt, which is healthy protein, and then maybe put some frozen berries on the top of it, or slice a banana into it. You can always drizzle a tiny little bit of maple syrup on top. That will give you a really, really nice, healthy snack or dessert. You could try popcorn. Popcorn's a really healthy snack. If you need a snack and you like something crunchy, often it's because we feel like we want to crunch on something. We want that texture. Well, popcorn is a healthier snack than crisps and that sort of thing that you might be snacking on right now. If you have pre-diabetes or diabetes 2, you absolutely have to save your life. I'm not being dramatic when I say that. It is absolutely down to you. Yes, there are pills that might help you. There are medications that might help you, but those are not dealing with the root cause. The root cause is that you're eating too much sugar, and it's the simplest thing to stop doing. So yes, sugar is highly addictive. I know that. I used to have sugar in my tea and coffee when I was younger. It's just what we did. And it took me a couple of weeks to start drinking it without. And it was pretty vile to begin with. But God, am I glad that I did, because when you're having little bits of sugar through the day, it almost initiates the cravings. Foods are designed to be addictive. It's really tough. But if you can stick to the fresh foods or the frozen foods, the real foods, the foods that don't need labels to tell you what they are, you're going to be doing yourself the biggest service on the planet. Say, well, I've just stopped eating. I just have one main meal a day. That's creating stress in your body. You need to eat regularly in order to be healthy, to have sustained energy, to not create unnecessary stress. When you create stress in your body because it's hungry, it wants food, it's probably thirsty as well, you are increasing the blood sugar levels that are being released into your body. You are doing yourself no favors at all. There are these fast diet pills out there, and you can't, it's a quick fix. Listen, you may have been creating this situation in your body for years. You're not going to fix it by popping a couple of pills, because also you will rebound. Once you stop taking those pills, your behaviors have probably not changed. So you're just going to go back to the same situation. You have to focus on the core issues. What is causing you to have the diabetes? It's too much sugar, full stop, and lack of movement. So while there's a lot of adverts out there for these quick fixes, I would steer clear of them as much as you can. Don't be tempted, don't be lured in. It's a con. It's designed to sell you a product which might help you lose weight for a little while, but is it solving that core issue? Is it getting to the base of the fact that you are not moving enough, that you're eating too many sugars, and you are not supporting your system as you should do? Top of the fact that you should be cutting out sugars is the fact that your gut microbiome is incredibly important to how you continue. So once you've lost weight, if you starve yourself, you will lose weight. You'll create loads of stress on your body, your bones and everything's going to suffer, and you'll probably never rebound from it, to be quite frank, particularly if you've got underlying issues as well, like the diabetes too. If you can lose weight healthily and eat more vegetables and drink more water, you're going to be supporting your gut microbiome. because the bacteria inside your gut are absolutely key to how you show up in life. So if you still have, you pop one of these pills, for instance, it's probably going to really bugger up your gut microbiome too. But say it doesn't, say it's just your microbiome as it is when you pop one of these fat reduction pills. It's going to be doing nothing to your microbiome. The bacteria, the imbalance of the bacteria is still going to be there. So when the pill finishes its work, or you decide that you don't want to keep popping pills because you have all these lovely side effects that come with it, you've still not dealt with the issue that's the bacteria in your gut microbiome. When you're eating lots of vegetables and real food, it's crazy, isn't it? We actually have to call it real food. You are positively impacting the bacteria in your gut microbiome. That is so important for you to have a continued resolution, continued healthy life, to continued healthy weight balance. So can menopause spike your blood sugar levels? It makes you more susceptible, which is why need to be even more ninja at eating the right balance of foods, lots of vegetables, whole foods, and taking activity, ideally incorporating strength training as well as just general walking around. The thing is, you might actually want to take HRT and you can't because you're too overweight. Your markers are all wrong. You're already at increased risk of stroke, of cardiovascular disease, cancer, because too much fat acts like a sponge. It hangs on to hormones, which we don't need to be hanging on to. That's why you have an increased risk of breast cancer, bowel cancer, that sort of thing. When you are overweight, your fat is hanging on to hormones, which you don't want it to be doing. So you might be literally gagging for HRT, but you can't have it because you're already negatively impacted your health to such a degree that you're not allowed to have it because of the contraindication risk. With all that, I know this has been a bit of a hard-hitting video, but I want for you to get better. And there is so much that you can do. Our society is medicalized. We reach for the pills over the lifestyle change. We're encouraged to have the pills over the lifestyle change. Eat real food, move more often, drink water, prioritize your sleep as much as you can do. It will make such a huge difference to how you live your life. And if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic too, it is never, ever too late to start. And just know that you're making that choice, death or the cake. Thank you for your company. I hope this has been helpful. Please don't go away from this feeling despondent. I appreciate this video has been a bit hard hitting, but you do have that choice. Death, losing your extremities, blindness, or the cake, because that's essentially what it boils down to. You are not that robot being remote controlled. Everything happens in here for you. Yes, sugary foods are designed to be addictive, so you will have to apply some willpower to overcome that. But eat healthier alternatives like the Greek yogurt I mentioned, like banana, like an orange, like an apple, like dates. Dates are nature's candy. They're delicious. I've always got a pack of dates on the go. I love, love, love my dates. Don't feel like you can't eat anything that's not sweet at all. Sweetness that comes from fruit, that's natural sugars. That is not bad for you. If you're thinking, I've got to have something sweet, have something that's fruit-based. Have a banana, have a pear, have a peach, have an apricot. If you can, have Greek yogurt with berries on top. That would be a healthier alternative because it's likely to be slightly higher in fiber. It's not going to be quite so high in sugar. You've got the Greek yogurt, which contains protein as well, which is really going to be good for you, beneficial for you. But if you're absolutely bursting, just eat some fruit. Just choose anything that is natural over something that is designed to be addictive, to screw up your microbiome, and to keep you going back for more, and essentially get you a step closer to the grave versus a step closer to a healthy, vibrant life. So if this was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for your company. And if you've got anything you'd like me to share in an upcoming episode, please just message me and I'll be glad to add it to my rotation. Thank you for your time today, and I'll chat to you soon.